So welcome to your April ACE Talking Circle. Thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon, or for some of you, late morning. We'll go ahead and kick off with our normal disclaimer. This presentation was produced under U.S. Department of Education contract number GS00F115CA with Synergy Enterprises, Inc. The views expressed herein do not necessarily represent the positions or policies of the U.S. Department of Education. No official endorsement by the U.S. Department of Education of any product, commodity, service, or enterprise mentioned herein is intended or should be inferred. All right. Now that you're all good and disclaimed, we have a lot of things to talk about today. So of course, we seem to always at least have some tidbit about budgets. So we're going to touch base on budget revisions today. We're of course going to talk about annual performance reporting because I know all of you are busy getting your APRs ready for that end of month deadline. And then we have some time to do some program sharing, talk about some tools for program sharing that we're kind of zhuzhing up. And then we also have a lot of upcoming events. So I want to be sure that everybody knows all the different things that are coming up over the next few weeks. So like I said, lots to go through. And as we get started, I know Bianca will welcome all of you as well.
Hey everyone, it's finally warming up here too as well, but we're in the 80s. So a little bit warmer than you, Pamela. But yeah, happy APR season. I know I've been getting a lot of questions coming in. Keep them coming if you have more, but this is definitely a platform where we're going to address some of them. And yeah, I hope you guys are excited on submitting your reports.
I wanted to start out with a kudos to 13 of you. So you may or may not be aware, but we do take attendance at the TA events. We want to know who's showing up. We want to know which grantees are attending. And so these 13 grantees, the Alaska Native Heritage Center, the American Indian Center of Arkansas, Choctaw Nation, Chugashmet, Cowarack, Muckleshoot Indian Tribe, Naka Inspired Schools Network, NIEA, San Juan School District, Udi Mountain Udi Tribe, Yarrington Paiute Tribe, Yukon Flat School District, and Yukon Kuyukuk School District's Choices program all have perfect attendance this year. So what that means is they have come to every technical assistance event that we've had this particular grant year. And I also just want to give a kudos to the whole group because out of a 40 grantee group, 13 having perfect attendance is really awesome. I have some groups with not that many on the kudos slide this month. So really a shout out to everyone. I know sometimes it is impossible to attend. So, you know, if you've missed one or two, that's not the end of the world. Remember, we do record all of our events and they are up on the OIE website and on our OIE YouTube channel. But I did want to give a little shout out to those who've really made an effort to make it to all the events thus far this year. So you can pat yourselves on the back. And then we'll head into a little chat about budget revisions. So I wanted to do a couple of reminders about budget revisions because I think sometimes we think, oh, you know, I turned in my budget revision at the beginning of the year when it was due back in November, and then it's over. Well, you can turn in a budget revision at any point in the year. We require them at the start of each grant year to make sure you have your budget set up for that year. So you had that required year 2 budget revision due in November. But if you've had changes in your program and changes in your budget, submit a new budget revision. You can submit those at any point in the year. We do try not to submit them in September just because that's when continuations are going on and it can be a little hard to get those approved in September. But other than that, submit them at any point throughout the year. This is a great time of year when you're working on your APR and you're already looking at your budget things to determine, maybe I need to make some changes. And if so, submit that budget revision now. You'll use the annual optional budget revision form and you'll submit that via email to Bianca, and then she can approve or ask for more feedback. And that way you're able to spend the funds in the way in which you need to accomplish your project goals and serve your students. So I just want to make sure everybody knows you can submit a budget revision any point in the year. And you definitely need to submit a budget revision if you're making changes to your budget. So little plug there. The second part of that is that we're still missing some of the November budget revisions. If you're on this list, either we haven't received the budget revision that was due in November, or we received it, but additional work was needed. So Bianca has reached out to you, letting you know some areas that needed work and is now waiting for your revised budget. If you have questions, if you're thinking, I thought I submitted that, or yeah, I got the feedback, but I don't really understand how to make the needed changes, please reach out either to Bianca or to the OIETA team. You can email either bianca.williams@ed.gov or oie@sceiservices.com. And we're happy to walk through those changes or help you kind of figure out what needs to be done so that you can have a complete, correct, approved budget. It is required, and it's really important. We're halfway through the year that we go ahead and get this taken care of. So again, if you have questions, reach out, but please, if you're on this slide, let's try to knock this out by the end of April.
I want to add one more thing on here. The most important piece for this budget, I know last year we spent a lot of time on budgets, but this budget in particular is to make sure that if you received a budget reduction from year one, that is reflected in this budget as well. If you had any funds left over from year one, that's reflected in this budget as well. We want to make sure that we're on the same page for what you have allowed to spend. And if you're working with your fiscal officer, everything that's remaining in your G5 account is your available balance for this fiscal year. So when you're writing your APR budgets and reports, make sure that you are reporting on that budget, and that is including those reductions or any funds remaining from year one that you may have.
All right. So that kind of wraps up our budget section. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to pop it in the chat box or unmute and ask any questions you might have as we're talking about each of these topics today. So that takes us over to your annual performance report. So you do have an annual performance report due at the end of this month. I know most of you were able to attend the APR webinar that was held in March. If not, remember the recording is up on the OIE website and the OIE YouTube channel, so you can always watch the recording on demand there. Even if you attended it live, sometimes it's helpful just to refer back to it. So in the spirit of great APR reporting, and that we're all going to have these wonderful APRs this year, we are going to play just a quick review game with a few reminders and tips to help make sure that you have the best APR possible. So we are going to head over to Kahoot. You can open this up on your computer just by typing in to your browser kahoot.it. And I'm going to put it over in the chat box as well. And I'm going to head over there too. So I'll switch my screen so that you can see where we are. So you can see we're over on Kahoot. Once you get on, it's going to ask for a PIN number. Our PIN number for our review today is 737871. All right, so I see people are starting to pop up. See Samantha, Pamela, Paiwa, SCC, RCB, Jessica, and Helen. See, now we're all popping over. This is your chance to show off that you are a pro annual performance reporter, which I know all of you are. Oh, we even have Joe Biden joining. Who knew we would have so many folks on the game today? All right. I'm going to go ahead and get us started. If you're still joining, it's fine. It will still let you join even once I click the start button. So don't let me keep you from joining. We want everybody on. It's kahoot.it, and then that's 737871. All right, so you'll see this is the OIE ACE APR Showdown, and your opportunity to show off your superior reporting skills, as well as refresh yourself on some important aspects of the APR season. So let me just remind you, if you've never used Kahoot before, or maybe it's been a minute, you're going to have to look at your Zoom screen to see the question. And then you'll look at your Kahoot screen to answer the question. Zoom screen to see the question, Kahoot screen to answer the question, okay? Some of these are rather fast paced, so stretch out your hands and get your fast fingers. Here we go. First one is just true, false. The ACE APR due date is April 29th, 2022. True or false? So over on your Kahoot screen, you should see a blue true and a red false. Pick one or the other. Very good. Almost all of us got this. So whoever picked false, it's true. It's due the 29th. So make sure and denote that on your calendars. It is due the 29th.
That's funny. I put on my calendar, it's due the 26th.
Hey, that works. Just turn it in early. As long as you didn't write May 1st, we're golden. All right, it looks like, and the faster you put the score, you put your answer in, the more points you get. Right now, Spencer from San Juan is in the lead. Next up, another true false. The deadline is at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Blue true, red false is the deadline at 5 p.m. Eastern. Let's see. Oh, we were really torn on this one. All right, it is false. The deadline is at 4:30 Eastern, okay? Once it hits 4:31, G5 shuts down and you are no longer able to submit in the system. Okay, so make sure you get it in by 4:30 Eastern. Let's see. Oh, Kiowa has come up to the lead, knocking Spencer entirely off the board. All right, another true false. I have checked to make sure I can access G5 and the reporting package. Be honest, have you gotten into G5 yet? Blue true, red false. Okay, most of us have. If you haven't, I always highly encourage you to go ahead and try logging in, because you don't want a bad surprise that for some reason you're locked out when you go in to try to do your report. All right, oh, now MCN is up in the lead. Muskogee, I think that's Muskogee. All right, this one's a puzzle, so you're gonna have to put these steps in order. Put these steps in order for submitting your cover sheet. So you're gonna move those little answers around until they're in the correct order for submitting your required cover sheet. So I gave you a little more time on this one because moving those around takes a minute. But I see folks locking in their answers. Your cover sheet is very important. So let's see if we know all the steps to get that taken care of. Your cover sheet is also something I always encourage. Knock that out first. Since it does have to get signed by someone that isn't you, knock it out first so you don't have to worry about other people being available. All right, just a couple seconds remaining. All right. So you'll see here is the correct order. And unfortunately, no one got this correct. So let's definitely review this one. Okay, the first step is go into G5 and enter your cover sheet data. So put all that information in. Second step, you'll be able to then download your completed cover sheet. Third step, hunt down your authorized representative and get them to sign it. And then fourth step, you now have your signed cover sheet, so you have to upload that back into G5. I highly suggest uploading that as a PDF, just because G5 works better with PDFs and is less likely to spit it back at you. Okay, so enter it into G5, download the sheet, go get it signed, then upload your complete sheet. All right. No one gets to move for that one, so we'll head to our next one. This one's a quiz. What's your APR reporting period? What are we reporting on? Check out these options. What is your APR reporting period? Right. Let's see, most of us got it correct. Your reporting period is October 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022. So just the first 6 months of your project year. Okay, October 1st to March 31st. That's what you're reporting on right now. Let's see how that changes up. Ooh, now RCB's in the lead. All right, another easy, true, false. I can add additional project measures based on the new activities conducted this year. Blue, true, red, false. Can you add additional project measures based on your new activities this year? And this is another one where we were torn. It's false. You cannot add any new project measures this year. No. Whatever project measures you used last year, you're stuck with those. You lock those in year one and report on them all 5 years of your project. So please do not try to add any new project measures this year. If you want to share additional information, you can do that in your executive summary and in your section C, but do not add any new project measures. All right, how does that change? Oh, RCB is still staying strong. All right, another true, false. If a project measure was not applicable this year, I can omit it from my APR report. Blue, true, red, false. So if you had a project measure last year, but this year it's not applicable, can you leave it off of your APR report? Excuse me. It's allergy season in Texas. So, all right, most of you got this one, great. It is false. Again, you locked those in year one and you're stuck with them for all 5 years. I kind of gave you a clue back on the last one. So even if it's not applicable this year, you still have to include it. And then over in your explanation of progress, explain why maybe it's not applicable this particular year. All right, let's see how that might. I don't know. RCB seems to be really taking the lead. Y'all are going to have to come on. Another true, false. I can tweak the GEPRA wording to reflect my project. Blue, true, red, false. Can you make some adjustments to that GEPRA wording to make sure it reflects your specific project? All right, most of us caught this one. No, you have to use the exact GEPRA wording. We don't get to make any adjustments to that. So make sure that you're just copying and pasting that because the GEPRA wording must remain the same. Let's see. We're keeping kind of similar. I don't know. How about this quiz question? For GEPRA measures, what quantitative data should be reported? So on your GEPRA measures, what quantitative data are you going to report? Quantitative. We're all over the place on this one. So the two key things here are that you're going to be doing this for your GEPRA. So ACE grantees, you have 8 GEPRA, and for those 8 GEPRA, you only are reporting the actual ratio. Leave target blank. Only report your actual ratio, okay? Let's see what that does. That knocked RCB down. Piowa's back in the lead. But we have another quiz. Now for your project measures, what quantitative data are you going to report? For your project measures. So for GEPRA, we were doing only your actual ratio, but what about for these project measures? Okay, another one where we were a little bit torn. You're going to report your target and your actual, but remember, we only do ratios. Only ratios. So for GEPRA, only your actual ratio. For your project measures, your target and your actual ratio. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and I see a comment. G5 wouldn't let me save data if I left the target ratio blank for GEPRA measures. Interesting. Is anyone else having that issue? I'll give you a second to respond. We'll do the next question. And while we're doing that, if anyone else has had a similar issue, or if it's let you save it with the target blank, let me know. And then we'll come up with a plan from there. All right. Next question is a quiz question. I won't have data for a project measure until August of 2022. What should I report for those objectives? So if one of your measures, you're not going to have data till August, what do you report? Oh, now I apologize. We did make this one a little tricky. It is 999 over 999. So those of you who answered the green answer, it's not that you were totally off because it is 999, but remember, we're reporting ratios. So we have to have a numerator and a denominator. We have to hearken back to when we learned about fractions. We've got to have a numerator and a denominator. So it's technically 999 over 999. All right, and I see a little discussion. I have a feeling a lot of us haven't tried to put in our quantitative data yet, so we don't know if that's what's going to happen. But yes, Kayla, absolutely. If it is not letting you save without putting in a target, just put in 1 over 1. And that way that can be a signal for us that it just wouldn't let you. And that's completely fine.
And also, we won't be looking at the target for GIPRA anyway, so it will just be the
Exactly.
actual. So if you run into the issue and you have to input 1 over 1 or 100 over 100, we know that that's just to fill in a spot, and you know, that won't affect your actual ratio.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, great questions. All right, let's see. Everybody just stayed where they were. I don't know. We've got another quiz question. And this one, you notice it said multi-select because you can pick more than one answer choice. So what's a great way to ensure that you're covering the necessary information for section B? What can you do? What can you do? And you're able to select multiple answers should you want to. All right. So a great way to ensure that you've got all the information, first off, while it is optional, we highly encourage using that optional budget reporting tool because it's already set up in a fairly user-friendly manner for all the information that's needed by the program office. So if you complete that form, you know you're giving your program officer, Bianca, the information that she needs and in a way that she can easily read it and move on with your budget. So highly, highly encourage the use of that optional budget reporting tool. We also really encourage attending the APR webinars or watching the recording because we go through everything you need for section B. If you picked the red option, please don't scan a copy of your budget into the report. Everyone's budget offices set them up differently. They rarely, if ever, I don't honestly think I've ever seen one that actually contains all the information that's truly needed. And it just ends up being a mess. So no need to scan your internal budget into the report. Just complete the information needed in that reporting tool and you'll be fine. And then the green one, a little bit of a trick answer. Definitely involve your fiscal office, but highly encourage, don't just hand it off to them and then turn in whatever they hand back. Look through and ensure that your fiscal office is completing everything that you know you need for section B, because you may need to provide a little information in addition to what they complete. So always double check that and don't just rely on that fiscal office. You're the reporting pro. All right, let's see. Oh, RCB is still in the lead, but I see Tom moving up, trying to catch up. This one's a nice true false. I know how much has been drawn down from G5 for my ACE grant. So do you know how much has been drawn down in G5? Not how much you've expended locally, but how much has actually been drawn down in G5. All right. So this is where I like to give a plug for those of you who are saying false, that you don't know how much has been drawn down. I highly encourage, talk with your fiscal office about potentially getting G5 view only access. What this would allow you to do is to see the drawdowns in G5. It doesn't let you make a drawdown. It doesn't let you change any budget information. It just lets you see when drawdowns happen and for how much, so that you're in the loop with those drawdowns. Because when questions come up, OIE isn't going to call your budget office. They're going to call you. So it's super important that you're in the know about those drawdowns. If you don't know how to request G5 view-only access, let me know and I can help walk you through the process. All right, let's see. Oh, that one pushed Tom in the lead. Next up is a poll. So this one does not have any points. Do you have view-only access to your budget in G5? This is just a curiosity point. How many of you happen to have view-only access? Well, I'm glad that no one said, what does that mean, since I just explained it. But it looks like 4 of us have it, 5 of us don't, and 1 of you can't even get into G5. If you can't even get into G5, if you're not the project director, I understand, it's just the way G5 works. If you are the project director and you can't get into G5, please let us know ASAP so we can help you get that figured out. All right, this one is for points. I need additional space to provide a longer explanation of progress, insert charts, or add pictures. How can I do that? What do I do if I have more info I want to share? I've got these awesome program pictures. I have a cool data chart that I couldn't get into the explanation of progress box. What do I do? Let's see. All right. Most of us got this one. Put it in section C. Section C allows you a pretty large upload limit. So you can add all of that into one big PDF and pop it into section C. That's where all of that can go. All right. Only got 2 more questions. This one is a multi-select, so you can select more than one answer choice. What should be included in your section C? What else should you put in section C? You can pick multiple answer choices should you want to. All right, so let's kind of break this one down because it includes a couple of things. Starting with our red answer choice, any additional information you'd like to share. So like I said, if you have an interesting chart about your program, if you want to share some of the marketing materials, if you want to share a link to your service selection portal or your marketing website or your Facebook page, if you have photos of a really neat activity you did, all of that stuff can go in there. If you had more of an explanation of progress than would fit in section A, just say continued in section C and then put it in there. All of that is totally fine. So that's what red and blue are alluding to. If you look at gold, remember this year we provided you with the optional section C reporting form. Again, it's a technically optional form, but we would highly encourage you to complete that form because that's information that is incredibly helpful to your program officer. And so if you don't use the section C reporting form, then we would ask that you go ahead and provide that same information somewhere in section C on your own. So the section C tool is really just helping you do that in an easier way. It makes it a lot easier for Bianca reviewing it instead of having to scrounge around and try to find it in your report. Now let's talk about this green answer choice, the raw data to support my section A reporting. All right, so sometimes we've had a few grantees who do send in their section A data in section C. What I caution you about here is please do not send student names, student personal information as part of your section C. Remember, we all need to be following FERPA. We all need to be following data privacy policies of our organization. We don't need that information here at OIE. Okay, Bianca doesn't need that information. And so do not send that personal data as part of your reporting, okay? Don't include it. So that's why I included that one there. It's just as a bit of a caution. And then I see Bo's calling me out on a tricky question. True, maybe could would have been more accurate. If I threw you off, I'll add 1 bonus point on your score there at the end. Don't worry. All right. Let's see. I don't know. Pi was kind of taking it away here toward the end. Question next one is a quiz. If I have questions or I need help with my APR, where can I go for assistance? So where can you go for help? Don't know. Where might you get some help? All right. So remember, I like trick questions. So yes, you can absolutely reach out to your program officer. Bianca can help you. Yes, you can absolutely reach out to the OIETA team. Myself and Alani and Tracy, all happy to help you. No one answered the G5 help desk, and I can kind of understand why, but yes, they are actually there to help you as well. But technically the correct answer is our green answer choice. All of those are avenues you have available to you for help on your APR. So let's see, doesn't look like anybody moved. So last question, last chance. I will have my complete, accurate, and detailed APR submitted in G5 by April 29th at 4:30 Eastern. All right. And I actually just noticed there's a typo in this. Yeah. So Rusty and Spencer, you were absolutely right. I have messed up your score because I put a typo and apparently tried to turn back the hands of time and think that it was 2020. So I have a feeling the 2 who marked false are Rusty and Spencer, and all the rest of us skipped over it, just like my brain did when I tried to proofread this after I made it. I am really sorry if I messed up your score and you would have been the winner. That is my mistake. I'm going to have to come up with a consolation prize. I'm going to just blame my sleep deprived brain that I apparently thought it was 2020. But yes, it is due in 2022, April 29th, 2022 by 4:30 Eastern. All right, so despite me messing up your scores here at the end, it looks like even with my mess up, Rusty, you're still in the top 3. It looks like Ketsu Susan is in 2nd place and Kiowa is our big winner. And you can see our runners up are Tom and Joe Biden, which I believe is Bo. So yeah, I hope this was kind of a fun way to review for your APR, just something a little more lighthearted than just another slide deck of me harping about APR reporting, and sets you up for really great APRs this season. So I'm going to switch back to our slide deck. Does anybody have any questions about APRs as we're kind of transitioning back? Yes, I agree. We're not going back to 2022. All right, I'm glad it looks like folks enjoyed a little more lighthearted review today. So our final reminder is just again, yes, you'll notice on this slide, I know what year it is. So Friday, April 29th, 2022 by 4:30. Once it changes to 4:31, it's too late. Remember also, when you save the forms, that doesn't automatically submit them. It saves them in draft form. You have to hit that actual submit button and you'll see it changes from draft to submitted. And that's how you know you've truly submitted your report. And then just so you have one more look at it, a reminder that for GEPRA, we're doing that actual ratio. And for project, our target and actual ratio. And as Kayla so helpfully noticed, if for some reason it won't let you save without putting a target ratio for your GEPRA, we're just going to pop in 1/1. Okay. Susan, good question. It doesn't give you a receipt per se. It'll just change on the screen from saying draft to submitted. And that's how you'll be able to tell. And it'll say a timestamp of when you submitted it there on the screen. All right, any other APR questions today? We do have a couple of final opportunities if, as you're working, you have questions. Like I said, of course, you can always reach out to Bianca, to us at the TA team, and to the G5 help desk. But we also do have one more office hours. Now it's the day before the APR is due, but you're welcome to join us on office hours the day before from 1 to 2 Eastern. If you've never joined us on office hours, it's a casual event. You can come and go at any time within the 2 hours, ask any questions you might have. We have the TA team on, as well as many of the program officers as are available that day. So great time to come and ask questions, or you're welcome to just hang out and listen to other people's questions. Let's see, what happens after it's submitted? Will we hear if there are challenges needing correcting or if everything looks good? Great question. You will definitely hear if there are challenges. So if there's something completely missing or incorrect, then you'll definitely hear back about what needs clarification or correction. And then we are working this year to be able to provide some just constructive feedback. So you'll be hopefully getting that as we enter into the summer months, but you won't necessarily get like an email saying your APR is approved, because that's not quite how that works. But know that you'll be contacted if there's anything that needs to be resubmitted or corrected, and then we'll hopefully be able to get that constructive feedback to you pretty early in the summer this year. Is there a Zoom link sent for office hours? So we don't send out a specific calendar invite since it's an optional event, but I will put the link for it here in the chat. And if you click that link now, you can register and make your own calendar invite. So let me pop that in the chat for you now. It is right there. That is the link for office hours on the 28th. And then the other thing we have are our Calendly appointments. So you can use this link to book an appointment with the TA team. So just to clarify, this is with the TA team, not with Bianca, but we're happy to answer questions, help walk you through the G5 process. Maybe this is your first time submitting in G5 or things like that. So I'll put that link here as well. And you can always schedule a little time with the team if that would be helpful for you too. So there's that link. All right. If you have other questions as we're going through, if something else pops in your mind about APR reporting, let me know and we can always harken back to APR reporting. But with that, we're going to move into program sharing. We are halfway, a little more than halfway through the second year of your ACE grant. Some of you, a small group, started implementation in year 1, but year 2, all of us hit implementation. Because of that, we have lots of things going on in all of our programs. And I'm pretty consistently hearing from everybody that you love to hear what's going on in other people's programs, share ideas, share resources. So we want to make sure that you have avenues to do that, both during our talking circles and outside of that. So I did want to harken back to our ACE Padlet and also show you a few things that we have adjusted and changed in the ACE Padlet to hopefully make it even more useful for you. So I have a screenshot of it here up on the screen, but I'm actually going to go to it live and pop a link in the chat box so you can go to it live. I'm going to encourage all of you, once I pop that link in the chat box, join me over on the Padlet, okay? So let me jump over there. Here we are. There's the link to the Padlet, so you can click that and join me right over on the Padlet. Now, let me tell you 2 things. If you have never been to the Padlet before or a Padlet before, you do not have to create an account. You can just comment, and you'll notice when people comment and they're not logged in, it just says anonymous. If you want to create an account, I think it's handy because then it automatically puts your name. So people know, oh, if that was interesting, I should reach out to whoever that person was. Or if you ask a question and our team needs to reach back out to you, we know who to reach to. Sometimes people ask questions and because they put anonymous, I have no idea who you were. And I don't know if you ever got your answer because I post it back on here, but I don't know if you know. So I encourage you, you might want to sign up for an account. It's free. You just put in your name and email address, but you don't have to. If you don't want to, like I said, no big deal, but I would encourage you, it's going to post you as anonymous, but maybe start your comment with your name or your grantee. And that way it makes it a little easier for folks who want to follow up. So that's just my little explanatory piece, but you'll see we've moved over to the first column, upcoming events and deadlines. And you'll see, of course, a reminder about your APR. We've got your talking circle dates here. So you can see we're on the April 14th one. We have the next one in August. We will have one in September, but we don't have the date set for that yet. You can see when all your talking circles are coming up. You can see John had posted a question and it posted as John because he has an account and I was able to respond to him. Other upcoming events, you can see I've got the office hours on there as well as a plug about the project directors meeting. For forms and templates, if you're looking for the slide deck from the APR webinar, you can download it directly from here. If you want to find the link to the APR webinar, you can click here and watch it. If you're looking for that APR checklist of tips and reminders for your APR, you can download that here. It's also where we have the optional budget reporting tool for download, the optional section C tool for download. Maybe you want to do that budget revision because you need another one or because we're still missing your first one, that form is here. And even if you were still needing like the sample service provider agreement, all of those kind of forms that we've used over the last year and a half, they're all right there for easy download. You're always welcome to ask us for them, but this is a little bit more of a self-serve option. You can see here we've had some chat about service selection methods. There's always a lot of interest in how other grantees are doing service selection. So you can see where folks were discussing this. And you can go through, add your 2 cents as well. And then here in the purple, and this is hopefully helpful with the color coding, is where we'd love to see your service selection examples. So whether that's you uploading your service selection form or maybe a link to your service selection portal, I've made a little comment already for every single grantee. And you can see some like Ryan's already popped in the link for Ho Chunk Nation. So if you want to see how Ho Chunk Nation is doing it, you can click there and it takes you over to their website to be able to see how they're doing service selection. You can see, I think there's another one up above. Where was it? Oh, here, American Indian Resource Center. So I would encourage you, come in and let's say, if I'm Kelly from Choctaw Nation and I want to now pop in my link, just click here to add comment and pop in whatever and hit enter or that arrow and it'll post it for you. Okay, so would love to have everybody popping in those and then going through and checking out everybody's. Maybe someone has a really cool idea you can beg, borrow, lightly steal. Then as you go across, next up was, there's been a lot of interest in what services are other grantees offering. You know, are they offering something that would be of great benefit to your students and you just hadn't thought of it? So you can see again, lots of great discussion here. And then you can see a spot again for sharing. So we've had a lot of interest in seeing how people are doing family or student surveys. So you can either post a document or a link here for that sharing. And I know I have one down under, I think John from Tunica Biloxi had shared in an email with me, so I popped it over here for him, links to their student and parent surveys and even their activity evaluation form. And then the other sharing is if you have a program website, or maybe you have a program Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, or maybe a program TikTok. I don't know how cool each of you are with your program social medias, but post links to that here. And so we have, again, a little box for each of you to be able to do that sharing. And then the remainder, if you have ideas for upcoming talking stick sessions, you can see no one's sent me an idea in quite a while, but I do check to see if you send in ideas. If you have other questions or comments, we have a whole area there for that. If there's other links that don't really kind of fit, then feel free to post those here. You can see we had some discussion earlier about allowable incentives, about distance learning, around GEPRA measures, adapting to COVID. So any of our previous discussions, just keep scrolling, they're all still there. And then if there's another topic or area that you would like either to have discussion on here about, or that you would like me to set up like a little share column for, just let me know. This is y'all's space. And so we want to do whatever is going to be helpful in order to help you actually make good use of it. And I've already gotten a couple notifications where you're starting to add things in, so that is great. Hopefully you'll be able to continue using this. Does anyone have any questions about the Padlet? How to use it or things you'd like to see there? Okay.
I have one.
Yeah.
So we have a team here. So I'm the project director, but my team member Andrea Neal does most of the implementation.
Mhm.
Will she have access to this Padlet?
Absolutely. So unlike G5, we created the Padlet through the TA team. So any of you and any members of your team are welcome to access this.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
great.
No, that's
I
a
just
really good
email you?
question. Yeah, it is not limited just to project directors. Whole team event.
Okay, is there an invite button or do I just email you?
There's not an invite button. If you just
Oh.
send her that link, she's able to get in.
Oh, cool. Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, you
One
come
quick
up with any
question,
other.
Sarah, please.
What was that?
One quick question, please.
Yeah.
Look at allowable incentives, please.
All right, let's scroll. Yes.
All right, so what it says at the top is that the NYCP grant allows. Is that a typo? Should it say TLT grant allows? And I'm just asking because
Well, so
just want to,
yeah, and you will see there's a couple of places that reference NYCP because at the beginning of year one, we were doing the talking circles with ACE and NYCP together because you're both demonstration grants. I didn't want to take that stuff off of your board because I know some of you engaged in those conversations, so I didn't want to take it away. But you will see a couple of spots. There's also one down here where there was some discussion around NYCP. Now, in general, though, I can tell you the rules around incentives are the same for NYCP and ACE. Those are general ed department rules for incentives. So even though it
Thank
says
you.
NYCP, that will be applicable to your ACE.
okay.
Yeah, but very good question. All right, and I see a couple questions over in the chat box. So this is a GEPRA question, but we're going to take it. I have a GEPRA question. How do we report the amount of time it took to reply to requests for new services? If 3 days in the average, how do we report as a ratio? Good question. Let me stop share because I want to show you exactly what you'll do. 1 second. Okay, I'm going to pull up a little slide just to make it super clear. So for number, there we go. All right, so when you're going to be reporting on this one, you're actually going to do the average number of hours it takes to respond to requests for specific services. So if it takes 3 days and each day has 24 hours, then you're just going to do 72 over 1 because it takes typically on average 72 hours to respond. And I know that may seem like a lot, but it isn't, because 3 days is perfectly reasonable. We just are trying to make sure that everybody is reporting in the same manner for comparison's sake. Because with GEPRA, part of the purpose of GEPRA is to be able to compare across all 40 ACE grantees. And so if one of you is reporting in days and one's reporting in hours and one's reporting in minutes and one's reporting in weeks, it makes comparison really hard to do. So that's why we've decided we're going to stick with hours. Everybody put the number of hours over 1. And that way it's nice and consistent across grantee. So I hope that helped.
Thank you, it did. It just, when you put it in hours, it's like, oh my God, that's a lot of time.
Well, exactly. And I know it can seem like, oh, geez, that's way too big a number. I promise it's not way too big a number because everybody's going to report in that same way. All right. And then, oh, and I'm glad you like the Padlet. So yes, share with the whole team, the more the merrier. All right. So we will hop back in now. So now that we've talked about the Padlet, hopefully everybody's over there. Everybody is starting to share things and will continue to do so and use that resource and get some good discussion and sharing going. We'll check back in on that next time. But I also wanted to just provide a little bit of open share time. So what's happening in your project? Like I said, now everybody's implementing and everybody's been implementing for a minimum of 6 months. So I would love to know what's happening. Has anybody had any exciting successes? Has anybody encountered a challenge that you'd like to get some feedback from your peers on? I'm going to go ahead and unshare my screen because I want us to be able to see each other for those of us who are on screen. And it looks like Tina is volunteering to be our first sharer.
Sure, I'll share. So we've had a couple of great successes as well as challenges, but so our dog mushing program was an absolute success this year, and we are going to expand to more students next year. We've already had that conversation with our service provider. So we'll need to buy a few extra mushing sleds for the kids, and we'll hire an extra musher next year.
Cool.
Additionally, sounds like we're going to be able to, we have by the end of April, I will have about 25 students that will have their learner's permits or driver's licenses. And driver's ed will be completed again by the first week of May. So every one of our graduating seniors will be either licensed or they'll have their instructional permit and on their way to a license.
That's really great, Tina. And I want to give a little plug for Tina. If you get our OIE newsletter, which all of you do, because I put you on the list. If for some reason you're not, let me know so I can get you on the list. But Tina's dog mushing program was featured in our last OIE newsletter, and she's actually going to be sharing more about that really cool program at the PD meeting. So check out at the PD meeting if you want to learn more about what they're doing with dog mushing. All right, it looks like Bo is our next sharer.
All right.
Oh, there you are.
Thank you. Yes, great to share with you. We had quite a few of our students out of our 6 villages, and our district is as big as the state of Montana, who went to Huntsville, Alabama, to the NASA Space Center, to Space Camp. And
That's cool.
most of our students have only traveled as far as Fairbanks. So for them to go to Alabama and, needing ice cream to stay cool and all that sort of stuff. And, but the real benefit of this that I liked most was they met students from all over the country and they became friends with them and are communicating with them still and that kind of a thing, which is very wonderful for our students because of where we are. It's so isolated,
Yeah.
plane flight in and out. So that has been just a wonderful thing. And the kids are already asking about next year. Can we go next year again and all that kind of a thing. So it's really cool when they're doing that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to go to space camp?
Thank you.
Thanks, Bo. All right. Who else has something fabulous to share? I know you're all doing cool things.
Well, this is Pamela at
Yeah.
Queric. We are now at 75% capacity. So we're getting
Nice.
back to in-person, which is awesome. And we also are doing STEM creation boxes over the summer for students. They can sign up for that service where we'll purchase the boxes and they can do the kits with their families over summer.
Mhm.
So we're actually really excited about that. What neat projects.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and a great way to get them working with their families too. All right. Anyone want to go next? You don't have to come on camera if you don't want to. You can just share. You can also pop in the chat box. I know some of you may be in a place where you can't unmute and chat. Feel free to pop it in the chat box and I'll shout it out for you. Yeah, take it away, Susan.
Okay, so we've had several service providers come to our 9 remote villages, and the ones that were drew the largest crowds, we had Dancing with the Spirit, which is Athabascan group of singers, and they sing the songs in the local language. And so they spent a week there teaching the students how to play different instruments, and then they put on a performance for the community. So they were just very grateful. They brought an elder there, and then we brought Eskimo Ninja, who was also another big hit, and he really talked about the struggles that he went through from bullying and overcoming those challenges, and thinking about suicide and how he reached down, and it was an 8th grader that saved him and inspired him to go on to American Ninja Warrior. And then now the students are really excited. They want to have Native Youth Olympics in our schools next year. So it's just really been something, the whole program has been something that really uplifted not only our students, but our communities coming out of COVID. We
Yeah.
finally opened up for travel in November. So we've been really hitting all the villages.
No, that's awesome that y'all been able to get back out into the villages and to bring those special experiences. And if you're not familiar with Susan's program, it's Yukon Koyukuk. And so they work with 10 different villages that are 9 of them fly in, fly out. So, all right. Jessica was sharing, one of our schools hosted a spring festival last weekend, and kiddos performed capoeira, conducted culinary demonstrations using 3 Sister, which is bean, squash, and corn ingredients, and students also danced. Great day. Lots of relatives came out and supported our youth. Service providers were so proud of our kiddos. We will have a professional grade short film soon to share out. Very cool. When you have that ready, Jessica, let me know and maybe we can play it during one of our talking circles coming up. I'm sure everybody would be interested to see. Very cool. What else is going on?
I think I think Susan really appreciates her sharing about their experiences considering COVID. We've not yet opened up we were all back in the office, but we have not yet opened up travel to the region. So we have always a challenge to making the contact. But this year we decided that we have, because we couldn't travel or couldn't have face-to-face meetings with our 7 communities, we opened up a opportunity to create a quarterly Zoom meeting and invited as many of them as possible to come. It started out with maybe 15 people. Now we have about 40 participants from throughout the region that attend our quarterly meetings. And this is when our program does information presentations about our respective opportunities here. And of course, ACE is one of the big ones for us. And and because of that, we've gotten some, and now that we're into our service provision and have a place to present it online. Now we've had a request from parents to create an activity kit that will contain information, activity sheets that students can practice some of their cultural information that they've learned over the year, but also keep up with their academics. And so we've had some parent had some ideas working with this online show that where they gave us a lot of good ideas. And so we were getting ready to maybe assemble those kits and have them into their hands before they walk out the door at the end of their school year. And I think it's a really good. And then because of the information we've given over in our region, there's a bunch of STEM related camps, summer camps for students. And there's several communities that have found that and are suddenly requesting our consideration for allowing their students to engage in that. And we've developed through the University of Alaska, a Kodiak program, a college prep introduction to our language course. That's a one credit course for high school juniors and seniors. And so we're looking forward to implementing that at the beginning of our year 3 with some college classes out there.
No, that's a wonderful opportunity. It sounds like you've been able to partner with a lot of different service providers.
We did with a Kodiak College, Alaska University of Alaska, Alaska Coastal Studies Program, the EAC Tribe, and then there's the Cordova STEM program. Frontier, yeah, we've got a lot of things going into that, but
Yeah, that's wonderful, Mark. All right, let's see. Who's next? We still have time for at least 2 more. Let's see. Oh, Shanna?
Hi, you said my name right.
Oh, good. I'm always
Cool.
so worried about saying everyone's names correctly.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm the only Shanna. There's Shauna, Shayna, there's a whole bunch out there, but good afternoon. My name's Shanna. Our ACE grant is out of Stone Child College in Rocky Boy, Montana. So one of a couple of our positive things that are going on, our dual credit numbers look really good for our high school kiddos. And then last week we just had a college and career fair, and a lot of the team worked together, and we had about 50 vendors of both where servicing schools were able to send their kids. And so I think I was just looking at the numbers, we had over 100 and some kids come through. Yeah, so that was a good opportunity. Like, we're pretty, like everybody else, isolated in Montana, so it was good to see like Grand Canyon, different HRs showed up, so they were able to like talk about people about jobs.
Yeah,
The older ones are interested, and it was really nice. And we have a lot of monthly projects going, so
very
we're
good.
pretty busy.
Yeah, a lot of different activities going on.
Yeah, those are some of our more recent, but like, thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing. Anyone else? And if you have questions that you want to throw out to the group for brainstorm, remember we are open for that as well. It's a great way to crowdsource ideas. Okay. Well, be thinking. We may have time for a couple more shares here toward the end if anyone decides they feel sherry. But we'll hop in and I'll kind of update you on a few events that are coming up. Make sure everyone's calendars are at the ready. Maybe, there we go. All right, so we're going to go on a little bit of a break for the summer with Talking Circles. So our next ACE Talking Circle is not until August. So we will see you August 11th at 3 Eastern from 3 to 4:30, kind of our normal time slot. But don't worry, we're not going away completely in between now and then. So in the meantime, you'll still be able to find us at office hours. We have that one at the end of this month, as well as in May, June, July, every month. It's always the 4th Thursday from 1 to 2 Eastern. So even though we're not having Talking Circles, we're still around, as well as you can always still reach out to us via email. Then I did want to throw out one other event that I want to invite you to. I know many of you do provide different types of language services, and we do have a grant program through OIE that's called the Native American Language Program, often just referred to as NALED. It's another OIE discretionary grant, but it's a pretty small group of grantees. There are 11 grantees that are all providing native language programming, anything from elective programming to dual language programs to immersion programs. And they have talking circles throughout the year as well. And we decided, because it is a smaller group, that we have the capacity to be able to open those talking circles up to other grantees that are providing language services and might be interested in being able to network and hear about different things going on within that realm. So if you or any member of your team would be interested in participating in any of those NALED talking circles, I put the dates for the remainder of the year. They have one in June, they have one in August, and they have one in September. Theirs do happen a little earlier in the day. They're from 1 to 2:30 Eastern. If you're interested, or like I said, any member of your team, just shoot us an email over to oie@seiservices.com and I'll get you added onto those calendar invites. You're not required to attend, but like I said, if you're providing services within that realm, you may find some of their conversations and resource sharing and things really helpful. So we just wanted to throw that out there as something that's available and an option for you.
If we have, maybe not our department, but we have another department that does language immersion, can we share that information with them?
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, let me see. All right. The next event I want to remind everybody about is the project directors meeting. Couple of things on this. Remember that if you are the project director for your grant, you are required to attend the project directors meeting. If you are not the project director, remind your project director that they are required to attend the project directors meeting. It's going to occur from May 10th to 12th. It runs from 1 to 6:15 Eastern each of those days. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, very similar to last year. We're going to be sending out the registration link tomorrow, so be looking for that. Now, remember, that link is only going to go out to project directors. So if you are not the project director, you'll need to bug your project director tomorrow to share that link with you, because each team can bring 3 people. Now, with those 3 people, one of them has to be the project director, and then the other 2 can be any other 2 team members that you would like, and you can bring that total of 3. If you have more than one OIE discretionary grant, so for instance, if you have maybe an ACE grant and one of those NALED grants, then you could invite 5 people, because you've got that project director spot and then you've got 2 other spots per grant. So feel free, invite more people from your team so they can take part in the professional development in those sessions. But just reminding you that it is required for your project director. So registration link out tomorrow. We'll also this year have some on-demand learning. So we'll have all those live sessions between 1 and 6:15, but we'll also have some pre-recorded on-demand sessions this year too. The other thing that's new this year is we're doing a pre-conference session. So the project director meeting runs from Tuesday to Thursday, but on Monday afternoon from 12 to 4 Eastern, we're going to be doing a True Colors workshop. Now, some of you I know did the True Colors workshop when we offered it in August, but the feedback we got from a lot of grantees was that because it was August, it was really busy with beginning of school year things. And so not everybody that wanted to attend was able to, and that some folks weren't on contract yet from the summer. So we've honored that request. We're back to offer it again. It does run from 12 to 4. The only thing you have to do in advance is there's a little kind of quiz that you take in advance that tells you your color, because you can't really do the session without knowing your color. And so you'll take the little quiz, it'll send you the little report with your color so that you can participate in the activities. This is a great workshop to do with your team, because it really talks about how to work best as a team unit. So you may want to register your whole team. Unlike the project director meeting, the True Colors, you can invite any of your team members that you would like, but space is limited. We can only hold a small amount of people. So if you're interested in this, I'm going to put the registration link here in the chat box. I would suggest registering by the end of next week if you really want a spot in this. Because we can't hold as many people for this as we can for the project director meeting, but positive, you can invite anybody from your team you want. So I'll put that little form link there and you just complete that registration form. And then I'll send you a confirmation if you're set for that particular session, because that's going to be held on Monday before the project director meeting.
Sarah, what time was the project director time set for the 10th through the 12th?
It's from 1 to 6:15 Eastern.
So 4 hours a day? No, yeah,
That'll be 5 hours, a little over 5 hours.
so like it's 9 to 1 Alaska time, right?
Yeah. We're 9 to 2. Yeah. Had to think about that a minute, but yes. Yeah, so for all of our Alaskan grantees, it'll be in the morning. And then for our like mountainy central folks, it'll be more afternoon. Okay. The other thing I want to ask, we're off the PD meeting. If you have PD meeting questions though, I'll take them. Any other PD meeting questions? Sorry.
Hey, Sarah, I just wanted to pop in and say something about the PD meeting. I've received a couple of questions even prior to the day about not being able to attend some or part of the meeting. Definitely try to be there as much as possible. We are trying to make it as interactive as possible, and we have some great keynotes and things planned. So it will be definitely fun. You know, we have games and trivia and Kahoot. So we definitely want you there. It is a requirement of the grant. If you cannot make it, make sure that someone from your grant is definitely there. And as well, we will have the sessions recorded. And if, you know, you're missing a lot of things, we probably will require you to, you know, have some type of takeaway from the recorded sessions if you do not attend. So you might get a quiz or something on something if you are unable to make it, just to make sure you are getting the professional development that is required from the grant.
Okay, so if we know we
But try your
can't-
best to be there.
if we know we can't, because like me, I booked my cruise way back in September. You said to make sure that my other person on my team is there. So when we register her up on it.
Yeah, you'll if I'm correct, you'll always put which which grantee you're representing, whoever's
Okay.
registering. So, make sure that you do have someone from your program in attendance. They don't need to be registered under you. But that they're stating that grantee name or PR number. So it's identified that someone from your grant is registered. But yeah, so when you do get back from your lovely cruise, I might, have a couple of quiz questions or something just to make sure you reviewed some of our recordings are things that we do feel that's really important for the grantees to know about the grant. But we do know that, sometimes things occur and not everyone's able to make it. But definitely try and for sure make sure someone from your team, our program is on and representing your grant.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect.
And yes, as Bianca was saying, when you go to register or any member of your team goes to register, they do have to select from a drop-down box and select your grantee. Super important that they do that and they pick the right one, because that's how we give you credit for attendance. So we did have a few folks last year who kept picking for some reason that they were part of the U.S. Department of Education. Just a heads up, I know y'all all have a U.S. Department of Education grant, but you are not the U.S. Department of Education. So please select your grantee name. Saves me a lot of time when I'm going through trying to take attendance. Okay, and then let's see. So I see a question about when the professional development meetings will be. So there are not specific sessions that are required of specific grantee groups. All of the sessions at the PD meeting are open to all the grant programs, and you get to self-select. So basically the way each day will go, all 3 days work the same. It starts out with a keynote. During that hour-long keynote, everybody goes to that. Then there are going to be 2 breakout sessions. Each are 75 minutes. And don't worry, there are little breaks in between so you can get food, coffee, all those things. During the 75-minute breakout one, there'll be 4 to 5 breakout sessions, and you can pick whichever one you want to go to. Little break. Then there'll be a 75-minute breakout. Pick whatever one you want to go to. And then there's going to be what we're calling grantee gatherings as the last session. Those are only an hour. During that time, we have 4 different types of sessions for you to pick from. And again, you can pick any of those 4 that day seem most applicable to you and your program. You and your team don't all have to go to the same session. I would really encourage you, break it up. If one of you is going to session A, somebody else go to session C. Try out some different things, but there are not specific sessions that you have to attend based on what grant you have. So I hope that answered that question, but if that did not, just let me know. All right.
Unless I'm presenting on one of the sessions, and you guys definitely should be in that session. I'm just joking. But we are definitely trying to do more things like Kahoot and games too. So all of the sessions will be super fun and, not as fun as in person. And if you guys were at last project director meetings and we're like throwing balloons and things at each other, but it will be close to it.
Yes. And we have lots of great presenters this year. So I think you will enjoy yourself. Now, outside of the PD meeting, I need a little feedback. And so I'm hoping y'all can help me with this. We have offered youth mental health first aid in the past, and it was very popular. I had a lot of people asking me to get them to offer it again. And so I need a little feedback to get an idea of when and how we're going to do that. So I'll give you a little background because I know some of you were not necessarily here when we offered it before. So the youth mental health first aid is a course that we're offering completely for free, but typically if you go get this certification out and about, it costs a good bit of money. So we're really excited to be able to offer it completely free to you and literally any member of your team. When you're done with it, you do get a certificate because it's something you get certified in. So you would be considered certified in youth mental health first aid. There's definitely been a larger demand for this since the pandemic. really works and is designed to work with any age of youth. So it's not something that's solely for high school or solely for elementary. It's kind of that whole spectrum there. As far as how it works, it does require 2 hours of online self-paced foundational pre-work. So basically you log into this little system. There are some slides to see, some videos to watch, and it takes approximately 2 hours. It didn't, like I did it, it didn't quite take 2 hours, but it did take about an hour and a half. Just depends on how you go through, but it's not going to take more than 2 hours. But you have to complete that pre-work or they can't let you into the live session, because this is something you get certified in. There is that prerequisite. So there is that piece. And then you have to attend the full session. Again, because you're getting certified and because it's regarding mental health and engaging with youth who may be in a really sensitive space, we don't want people attending for 2 hours and saying, I think I got it. No, you have to attend the entire session in order to receive credit. So that's kind of the background of that piece. Now, then as we think about that, here's the feedback I need from you. And I made a little poll to try to make it easier. If you can't see the poll, maybe you're on a device that's not showing it, feel free to give me the feedback in the chat box. But what I'd like to know is, it is a longer session, again, because you're getting certified. When we offered it before, we were only allowed to offer it as a one-day event, and it took between 6 to 7 hours. We can do that again and do like a full day, 6 to 7 hour thing. It is virtual on Zoom, and we built in breaks and lunch and everything like that. But grand total, you were online about 6 to 7 hours. Or they now allow us to split it across 2 days, and we could do 2 days, and each day would be about 3 to 4 hours. Which would be of more interest? So I'm going to pop that poll up. And remember, this could be for you or literally any member of your team, but I'm just trying to get an idea of what would be preferred. So you'll see the options are that you would want to do May 17th and or 19th. As far as timing, you'd want to do sometime in June. You could do either of those dates, or you're just not interested in the mental health first aid, and that's totally fine. And then over in the chat box, let me know, what do you think? 1 day, 2 days? You don't care, you'll do either one. And then also, as you're thinking about it, if you think that this would be of interest to you or to your team, do you think it would, if you think that you would have more than one person interested in coming, let me know in the chat box, because I'm also trying to figure out if we're going to offer it just one time, because they cap us at just 20 people. We're not allowed to have more than that. So I just want to kind of start getting an idea of how many people I think actually want to do this. So if we should offer it just once or twice. So I really appreciate y'all giving me just a little help as we think through this, and I try to make sure that it works best for everybody. And Bianca, you're welcome to do it too. Saw that over there. All right. Thank you. This is super, super helpful. All right, I'm going to close the poll, but feel free to keep going in the chat box. And then I'm going to save the chat so I can kind of go through and tally up. I'll let you know, I'm going to get this figured out within the next week. So hopefully by the end of next week, I'm going to send out a registration link for this too. This one is even more limited than True Colors, because like I said, they limit us to 20 people, and it's going to be open not just to ACE, but to the other grant programs. I'm just kind of using y'all as my guinea pigs for feedback. So once I send out that link, if you're interested, I would register really fast, because they're really strict on how many we can have in there. Okay. So since you're being so nice to give me feedback, I'm giving you the leg up of when I'm going to send out that registration. And I heard a question somewhere.
Yeah, this just gave me a really good idea, like maybe another topic on Padlet for grantees to share, maybe free or very affordable resources for professional development. I know, we're super limited with ACE, but I don't know if there's like other resources, maybe like CPR training or, other type of trainings that other people may have access to, or if uh, a grantee has done a training of some sort, maybe like
Yeah.
working with Native youth or trauma related training or things like that that they have available that they want to share. But I think it's awesome when we can take advantage of, free or very affordable professional development, since we're super limited with that with our ACE funding.
Yeah, I will definitely, I'll start a thread on there, and I'll even post some ideas myself of things I know, because as many of you have probably heard me say on past things, particularly when we talk about budget, the right price is always free. It's just the right price. So we'll find some more free resources for you and your team, and post those there too. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for providing me with a little feedback. I just want to make sure before we got that scheduled that hopefully we could do it in a way that would be most useful for all of you. So I'll get that all arranged. I'll get y'all a registration link by end of next week to start going on that. And I think, I went through that training with the grantees back in September because I wanted to see exactly how it worked for all of you. And it was really a beneficial training. I'll tell you, it is a deep training. It's an emotional training. So, come prepared, but it's a very good training, and I think can be really helpful in a lot of our programs. All right, then a little more light. I have good news. I've been able to extend the deadline for the student artist competition. So I know that when we announced it, a lot of folks were in the midst of spring break or had spring break during that time, which could make it a little challenging for the students to get together their entries. So we extended the deadline. It was originally this Friday. It is now April 29th, the same as your APR due date. So please encourage your students. They don't have to be in your ACE program in order to enter this. It can be literally any student. The only qualification is that they have to be in either early childhood through grade 12, pretty wide range. And they have to either be American Indian, Alaska Native, or Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander. So really, all of our students can qualify. If you'll look on the screen, you can see there are 3 different categories they can enter. There's art. That's open to all the kids, and basically any type of art under the sun that they want to do, send it in. For writing, that one's limited to 4th grade through 12th grade, and it's a personal narrative, 1 to 2 pages. And then you can see the last category is video, which I know is, all the rage. And it's a short video. So it's open to our 4th through 12th graders, a personal performance piece. Really excited to see what kids come up with here. We asked that it not be longer than 3 minutes. We're not looking for a feature film. We're just looking for a short video. And they're going to be awarded during our 50th anniversary celebration in June. So in June, we're going to be holding a large online virtual event for the 50th anniversary of the Office of Indian Ed. And so they'll get to be featured there with their work. So really exciting opportunity, really hoping to get some really cool things. So encourage your students. They still have a few weeks to get this done. I can also put over in the, let me grab it here. I have a flyer, so I'll put it in the chat so that you can download the flyer to send out, or you can put it on your social media. You can put it wherever you would like. Here we go. So that's over in the chat box for you to use. And then any other questions as we're kind of wrapping up today? I'm going to pop up our end poll just so that everybody has time to work on that. All right, Susan, question.
Somewhere, I just, became project director in December when I was reviewing all of the documents. Somewhere, I thought I read something that students are limited to so many X number of courses. Was that this grant, or I don't know if I was just
No.
things up.
And what you may be thinking about is you can set a limit. So with this grant, you did have to have a policy in place for what happens if demand exceeds capacity. So if you have more students wanting services or a particular service, then you really have capacity to serve. You had to have a plan in place for how you were going to handle that. So that
Okay.
may have been what you saw. And so what a number of grantees did, and you can see some of this actually on the Padlet, is some would say, well, each student can only access 4 services a year, or each student can only access $500 worth of services a year. And they assigned each service a dollar amount, or they assigned each service a point system. And they said, well, you can only access 10 points worth of services. So, it was up to each grantee to come up with that plan, but you could do it however you wanted, just as a way to make it fair if you had more demand than capacity.
Okay, and then does this policy or plan, it should be written, and if we ever get monitored, is that something that we have to show? Because I can't even find where I read that.
I can actually find where that was submitted in year 1 for your project. I saw it already. Let me look for it and I can send it to you what y'all have already submitted. Not that you
Thank you.
can't change it, but I'll send
Okay.
you what got submitted before.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I'm writing that down because if I don't write it down, I will not remember. All right, I have that little feedback poll up. Hopefully everyone can see that for kind of just some end of event feedback. You're also welcome to put any feedback in the chat box too. Anything is helpful as we try to make sure these are useful for all of you. We want to make sure that talking circles are beneficial for all of you to attend. And you'll notice Bianca put a little APR tip. It's better to revise to spend your budget this year than to plan on carryover. So true. It's too early in the year to say the word carryover. Do everything in your power to spend down those funds by the end of the year. Spend, spend, spend. If you need help thinking of ways to spend, reach out.
Okay, I have another question then.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know we weren't on the list of updated budgets sent to Bianca.
Yeah.
And so is there time to submit that and get it approved before
Yes.
April
Yeah.
30th?
Yeah, definitely go ahead and start working on that. Get it into Bianca. It's never too late.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Sarah, this is Jeremy.
Yeah.
Just going back to the GIPRA and the project objectives. What was it? On the GIPRA, it's only
Actual ratio.
the actual ratio.
Yep.
Okay, and then it's both down on the project objective.
Yes, and I'll even put it in the chat box too, so you can steal it. GEPRA is actual ratio. Project is target and actual ratio.
Okay. All right, perfect.
Yeah, and let me pop back. I'll pop that slide back up too.
Yep, I'm actually on my phone. We're snowed in North Dakota. My car literally is buried to the top of its snow.
So you're just having a light blizzard.
Yeah, it's made up for all of this winter these past few days. Yeah, so.
Winter wanted to go out with a bang.
Yeah,
One of the worst
definitely.
blizzards I've experienced was in South Dakota in May one year.
Well, they're referring to this one. They're comparing it to the 1997, and this one has doubled it. So, and I remember like the snowbanks were probably as high as a 2-story building. So I don't know what it
Wow.
looks like out on the open, but it's bad. I've been in my place for the past 3 days. So
Yeah, just stay inside, do your happy APR reporting, stay warm.
I am. All right. Thank you, Sarah.
No problem. All right, we're a few minutes over. I'm happy to stay on and answer any other questions you might have. But let us know as you're doing your reporting if you need anything. And we will, at minimum, see you at the project director meeting in a few weeks. thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your Thursday.
Sarah, Samantha here.
Yeah.
Question. So we have a kiddo that got accepted to an engineering camp for the summer.
Cool.
And his tuition was covered like for boarding and like the experience and stuff, but not his air flight.
Uh-huh.
So could we cover that on the side just because it's not included on the tuition for the camp itself?
I'm going to let Bianca take this one.
So transportation is an option that can be provided to students. So if
As
he
long
is
as they
selecting,
select it? Yeah.
you know, an additional service for transportation,
Okay, that's what I was
that
wondering.
is definitely a possibility. Yeah.
I was just making sure. I was like, I don't know. I have to check.
Yeah, always great to
Yeah, but
check.
just make sure, you know, if you're offering transportation to one student, that transportation is offered to all students. So, you know, if that's like you're offering transportation to attend one time thing, or if it's like to just one service or something, that, you know, that every student has an equal opportunity to get a service, receive a service.
Yeah, our summer is coming up and we have some nice summer camps, and we just want to also make sure we have enough people to transport them to and from their awesome learning experiences. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
awesome. Okay, thank you, ladies.
Yeah, thanks, Samantha.
Okay, I
And
have
Susan,
one
I
more
saw your hand.
all these things. Okay, so we have 10 students out of our 323 that are not Alaska Native or American Indian. And was there a rule that they're allowed to bill if they're predominantly they're like in most schools it's only like 1 out of the 24 students that are there? I just don't remember.
Yeah, and I know, Bianca,
So
we addressed this at
services
the last
are
one. Yeah.
required to go to
Okay,
American Indians. So we do have an Indian definition. You know, it's pretty general, like, you know, even state recognized tribes, but they would have to be required to be an Indian student to receive services. But if
Okay.
there's a service where it's like, maybe you're having like a speaker who's coming to a school or something, and the cost is the same, you know, to present for all of them, you shouldn't like exclude the students, you know, but like they wouldn't be able to really select the services, if that makes sense.
that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a question that's come up for a lot of grantees. So I think really helpful to clarify.
Yeah, I think one thing I might do and send out through G5 is just a couple, like, I think that Indian definition is something that is a good reminder, as well as the services that ACE can offer. And maybe like budget revision templates or something, just a couple of tools and resources that could be easily forgot.
Yeah.
Soon, while people are, you know, writing their APR.
Yeah. And if you want, we can also send that out to the general ACE list, just to kind of echo what you send in G5.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Some ACE reminders.
Yeah.
On my to-do list.
Never too many reminders. All right. Anybody else have any question? I know some of you may be sticking around just to see if somebody asks a good question at the end, but some of you may still have a question. All right. Well, then we'll go ahead and close the session for today and see you next time.